Today's video is brought to you by Excess Sites. I'm out here today preaching the good word of the Excess Big Dot site. If you don't like the Excess Big Dot site, then you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Excess makes a whole bunch of different site profiles, not just the Big Dot site. They also do scope bases, optics rails, and even handguard rails now. And Excess has been a big time, long time supporter of the channel, so I very much appreciate them supporting the mission here at the VSO Gun Channel. Let's get into the video. You're watching the VSO Gun Channel, and today we're going to do First and Second Amendment related stuff. So, the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, the entire Bill of Rights, the Constitution, is there for the purposes of restraining government. I think that we all agree on that. That is one of the core principles of American government, is that the Constitution exists to limit the government and prevent it from doing most of the things that governments have done throughout history. And you can argue whether it's doing a good job of that or not. That's a discussion for a different day. And today I want to talk about the ecosystem of YouTube and Facebook and Meta and social media as platforms for public speech. They are the prevailing method of public expression these days. And as someone who uses YouTube on a daily basis for news, I produce the news, I consume the news, you consume the news, and watch a whole bunch of other stuff. As people who interact with this system on a day in, day out basis, I hope that this is interesting to you. But as I said, the First and Second Amendment and the rest of the Bill of Rights and the rest of the Constitution is there to prevent the government from doing various things. It is possible for a private entity to violate someone's constitutional rights. It doesn't have to just be the government. Remember, we have the 10th and the 14th Amendment. We also have things like color of law that can pierce qualified immunity. It can trickle down from federal government, state government, local government to the people, because the people are in there too, remember. So just because you are a private entity does not give you license to violate people's rights. There are limits to what you can do inside your domicile as far as maintaining your own rights, like the house, for instance. If you're in your own home, there are certain things that people outside the home cannot do. People who do not have property rights cannot do certain things to your property, and you can't do certain things outside the property as well. Just because somebody's standing in your lawn doesn't mean that you can just waste them with a shotgun. So too with the First Amendment. For instance, it's well established that Verizon can't shut off my phone because they don't like what I say. Where does that apply to platforms like YouTube that have become the de facto public square, where people use mass transmission media to be able to communicate with each other? Well, when you take a 10,000 foot view, it looks like you've got a business that's trying to protect its individual interest, and then you've got the rights of the folks that use it. And there looks to be, from, again, a high-angle view, to be a clear separation between that and First Amendment protected conduct. Except for when you know from Zuckerberg's own mouth that his platform has been leaned on by the government to curtail particular types of speech. When the government, who is expressly prohibited from doing particular things, leans on the owners of the public square to curtail particular behavior because they're not allowed to directly do it, that becomes a de facto arm of the government and is now engaging in curtailing various people's rights. That would seem to violate that line. And I like to put it like this. Even if you discount the verifiable facts that this behavior has occurred, the stated purpose of the activities of the United States government is to protect its people, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, things like that. And in order to do that, it must support and defend the Constitution of the United States. When a private entity consolidates enough power to challenge the United States government's ability to support and defend the Constitution by subverting messaging and all that sort of thing through outside interests, in many instances foreign interests, then it is arguably at that time the government's responsibility to step in and limit the ability of that private entity to work against the rights of the people. Now, that takes many forms, like breaking up monopolies, et cetera, implementing specific legislation to do things like the phone thing that I talked about earlier, et cetera. But it seems to me as though we have reached this point a long time ago. And it is also apparent to the Attorney General of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, that we have far past that line. This is from a recent press release of his. When big tech companies hold the power to control what Americans see, say, and believe, they hold the power to reshape the nation. We will not allow Silicon Valley to rewrite the Bill of Rights from behind a firewall. This is as he announced a CID, which is a civil investigation demand that he served to Google, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to determine whether the companies have engaged in unlawful business practices by suppressing lawful speech and commerce related to firearms and ammunition. Obviously, very important to me. And this, I can tell you from the YouTube side, is absolutely a thing that happens. It's very easy to see. It is black and white right there in your face. All you need to do is upload a video, and you have to certify whether or not you are engaging in particular lawful conduct or not. The conduct that YouTube prevents you from using their site in its full capacities if you do. And it's a consistent moving goalpost as well. Oftentimes it's a retroactively applied rule that has been instituted. I've had videos removed from years ago that are now violative because of whatever weird thing they came up with. I mean, half the time you read the guidelines and they're not even in coherent sentences. They don't even make sense with the terminology that they put up there, and they do that intentionally to be vague, to make it nebulous at best for you to be able to comply so that they can eventually come back and find something wrong with what you've done. For instance, I had 1,100 videos removed from YouTube one time because a link was broken. It went to a safe place, and then the site went under new management and no longer went to a safe place for YouTube. And in the middle of the night or early in the morning, depending on your understanding of time, I had 1,100 videos removed. I woke up to see years of my life's worth of work gone in an instant. And luckily I was able to work with YouTube to rectify that situation, but there are other people who have not been that lucky or not been that fortunate to be able to get that sort of thing reversed. Sometimes they are hidden rules. Like, for instance, you can't publish content using thermal and night vision because it's not in the content guidelines, but it's in the advertiser guidelines, since everybody is over there reading that sort of stuff, right? And as far as those retroactive rules are concerned, there's currently a retroactive age restriction going on with YouTube dealing with otherwise lawful conduct, dealing with machine guns. I had one, let me check the date really quick, literally a week ago, reaching back in some instances a decade to strike content that was fine at one point in time. And in this instance, it says age restriction. What that means is it's going to be delisted and put in its own category so that nobody can find it. So they're basically like, yeah, you can publish it, but nobody will be able to find it. You tell me. I think that the Attorney General is right to do this sort of thing. And I would say what I have said to YouTube consistently. Your content guidelines should be a very simple one paragraph thing. Don't do illegal shit. Other than that, it should be fine. If YouTube were to do that, not only would they usher in a new era of amazing growth and revenue, because look, we've talked about this in the industry before. Like, there's a fair amount of money that could eclipse a lot of the stuff that you guys are bringing in from China and all that sort of stuff as far as advertisements and things like that are concerned. You're missing out on golden opportunities. If you just stop being communist douchebags, then you wouldn't have problems like this. Because you're also opening yourself up to more lawsuits in the future, because you are curating the content. When you curate the content, you're responsible for the content that it appears on your site. If you just say, hey, hands off, then you're insulated from having to do that. So, again, I think the Attorney General is well within the right to protect his people. And hopefully that has a wide-reaching impact on the platform as a whole, because this is going to continue to happen. Either the government is going to step in and place massive restrictions on the social networking platforms, or they're going to police themselves. And they haven't been doing a very good job policing themselves. So that is the news as far as the First and Second Amendment is concerned. Thank you to Attorney General Bailey for taking a look into this, because it is a problem. And I would really prefer that YouTube fix their shit. But it seems as though they are reluctant to do that. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see another one here at the VSO Gun Channel.